I am going to run an ultra marathon in 10 days and I am terrified. Last year, my 21-kilometer runs at Spartan were taking approximately 5 hours. And now I'm going to attempt an ultra, which I hope I will finish in about 12 hours. Now, if it was just a run, I wouldn't be so scared because I know I can just walk and continue going forward. But this is a Spartan obstacle course ultra marathon, which means that I will also have to do 60 obstacles. And I expect to fail at a lot of them because I can't do any monkey bars. I can't jump over the walls that are higher than 6 feet. Maybe not even 6 feet, maybe. Don't do a lot of heavy lifting, can't do the rope pulls. Yeah, and I entered myself in the competitive age group heat, which means that I cannot skip any obstacles, which I was doing last year. I wish I could have trained upper body a little bit more, but I basically ramped up from 0 miles per week to 30 miles per week in 12 weeks. And I really don't recommend that anyone do that. I actually got sick for a little bit in February, and I was running so much that I did not get better for over a month. So finally, I decided to take a break from running so that my body could heal. And then just before I started peaking, my peak week, which is my highest mileage of my training, I took another break because I just felt absolutely wrecked. I had set a goal of 50-mile weeks, which over the course of a week run 50 miles, but that ended up being way too much. I couldn't get there. The minimum standard that Jason Koop said, according to his podcast, was to run 30-mile weeks for 3 peak weeks, at least 6 weeks out from your race. So what that essentially looks like is a peak week of 30 miles per week, rest, recuperate, so maybe half that, rest, recuperate, and then another peak week, 30 miles per week, rest for a week, and then your third peak week, 30 miles per week. And if you're able to finish that, then you are likely able to finish a 50-kilometer ultra marathon, given that your training terrain and your race terrain are similar, which mine are not, because I run in very flat terrain. The city that I live in is very flat, and the race that I will be doing is not. It will probably be hilly. It's not going to be a crazy elevation change. It won't be 5,000 feet, I don't think. It might be around 2,000, but I think they're going to be smaller and very steep climbs. So I haven't really trained for that either. So there's a lot of difficulties that I am coming up to into this race, but I really think that I've done the best that I could to train, given that I just set this goal for myself in January. I'm not successful yet, but things that I have learned during this training is that it's really, really important to gauge your body and listen to your body. Everyone has a goal and a plan and a schedule, but whether or not we are able to stick to that schedule all of the time might not be as much as you want. Especially my super, super aggressive goal of hitting 50 miles per week. Once I got to 30 miles per week, I was not having any more. I was basically sedentary at the end of last year due to a lot of inflammation in my foot. So the whole time that I've been ramping up my mileage this year since January, I've been very, very careful to not injure my foot anymore. So of course, someone's going to say I could have tried harder, could have pushed myself harder, but I'm just not willing to risk the injury again. I already had the injury. It started in July last year, the inflammation in my foot, and I couldn't walk, run at all for a while because it was so bad. So I just really don't want to go through that again. I'm not going to push myself to that edge ever again, except maybe on race day because it's race day and you've got adrenaline and all that stuff. And on race day, the number one thing is just to finish, right? So that's one thing that I would say is you can set your goal, you can make your plan. It's always good to have a plan so that you have an idea of what you want to do. But if you are not able to stick to it 100%, then give yourself a little bit of grace and just do the best that you can. Just to add on to that point a little bit more of listening to your body, when I got sick, I probably got sick end of January, and it lasted all the way until mid-March. And that's because I think I was ramping up my mileage so much. I was pushing my body really hard. Even though I was sleeping pretty well, I was just expending too much energy and wasn't giving myself the rest that I needed. So when I finally slowed down a little bit, that was when I started to feel better. Asterisk, though, I also went to the doctor, got antibiotics, got antiviral medication, got antiviral supplements, and got a puffer. So slowing down, allowing my body to rest definitely helped, yes. And also, I went to the doctor, I got support, and I got medication, and that helped me as well. Another thing that I've learned on this ultra marathon journey is that although I'm trying to run for a very, very, very long time, I can also practice running faster sometimes. I think that during the initial stages of my running, I was still building up a base of running, and so I didn't really care about how fast I was going at all, actually. And I think that's the proper or the best mindset to have when you're starting to run is just, there's only one goal. It's just to get out there and run. Now my endurance is a lot better. I feel like my fitness level is better. My cardiovascular health is a little bit better. I think the joints in my body are more accustomed to running now as well. And I'm starting to learn the movement pattern of what it's like to run properly. Now that I'm at this point, I feel like I can start to run a little bit faster. So maybe my next goal won't be, longer in distance. Maybe my next goal will be to run a little bit faster. That's going to be a completely different challenge and completely different training than I have done. I normally don't like to push myself that hard physically, like max high intensity intervals. They just feel really bad to me. But I think that's because I wasn't fit before and I didn't know what that felt like, and it felt very, very uncomfortable. But now that my base fitness is a little bit higher, it's starting to feel less uncomfortable, and I'm starting to feel really good about pushing myself harder. So yeah, that's something that I'm going to consider for next time. Maybe not increasing my distance anymore. Like, do I really need to run further than 50 kilometers? I'm not sure. I probably don't need to. So maybe going back to the 21 kilometers or even the 10 kilometers and doing it a little bit faster. I think that would be a really good goal. And I don't have to spend 12 hours a week running. Third lesson or thing that I wish I would have done more in this training block is doing more pull-up and upper body work. I definitely do upper body at the gym once a week. However, I don't know if I've actually made direct progress on my pull-ups. Probably not, because I really don't like pull-ups. That's like something I want to work on. I want to convince myself to like pull-ups, even though I think it's going to take a lot of convincing. But like I said before, my base level fitness is higher this year than it was last year. So I think I'm starting to enjoy more that pushing of oneself. I am really looking forward to finishing this race because I want to start focusing on other things other than running, which I haven't had the capacity to do before this race because I didn't have that base mileage yet. So I thought that the most important thing leading up to this ultra marathon would be to get my base mileage up so that I just had legs that would be able to finish 50 kilometers because I didn't before. But now I might. Yeah, I'm really excited to get back into yoga, Pilates, stretching. I want to work on my skills. I want to work on headstands, pull-ups, the splits. I have a whole bunch of goals that were kind of put aside for this training block because the number one priority was increasing my base mileage. So that's been my ultra marathon training journey so far. I started mid-January, and now mid-May, I will be doing the big 50 kilometers, not miles. I'm scared, but I'm excited. I'm looking forward to how it goes. I am terrified, but I'm just telling myself that if I wasn't terrified, then the goal wasn't big enough. It wasn't a stretch. It wasn't a good goal. A good goal is something that you could possibly fail at, because if you knew you were going to succeed 100% at your goal, then you probably set a goal that was too easy, right? So it's a good goal. So that's all I've got for you. We'll see you in probably 2 to 3 weeks after the race. I'm going to recap and let you know how it goes. If you have any questions that you want me to answer in that next video, then drop a comment, send me a message, and I'll do my best to answer it next time. See you later. I just hit myself. See you later. Bye.